Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Coffee and Kalashnikovs. I'm Chris, and here we go with another fun week in review a little bit. We're going to touch on a few subjects. Hope you guys don't mind if I touch on a couple political subjects here and there. This one's pretty good. It's not boring stuff. And I promise we'll only touch on it for a tad. If you guys don't want to hear about it, say so. I'll stay away from it. But I'm going to talk just about a couple things with Canada here. Um, Other than that, I'll stay away from it. But it's just kind of scary. Just something I heard. I think you guys should hear about too. It'll be quick, to the point, and done, and then we'll get on with things. As usual, we're going to take your questions. We're going to talk about the comments you want to talk about, and we're going to go from there. I found some cool stuff this week. We put out a video this week. I hope you guys caught it on we took our M1 Garand to the range. I've been loading and messing around with 7.62 by 39 so much. I thought, you know what? I got some powder for this 30-06 finally. I'm going to load it up and we're going to go mess with it. And we had a lot of fun doing it. So we'll go over the video, take any of your questions on that, and anything I didn't answer in it, or maybe you want to know a little more about it or something. Tell you what we got coming up that you can expect this week. I already did an unboxing just before this, actually, and we'll go from there. I'm going to talk about ammo and how the ammo situation is out there. I got a little ammo added to the collection today. Thanks to a wonderful person, and we'll get into that. But yeah, that's about it. What's going on? How's your week going? I hope I'm here to break it up. Tomorrow's hump day, right? But this is pre-hump day. It's like I don't know, pre-hump day. That's all. I was gonna make a guy joke out of it, and I figured, no, this is a family show, right? So I won't. Plus, my wife's probably listening tonight, I think. So we'll see. I'll be nice. But how are you guys doing? Let's see who's here real quick, and then we'll get into things. I stopped in, I don't know, quarter two, and you guys were already in here having all kinds of conversations. So that's cool. You guys get in here early and get to talk about stuff, talk about me behind my back, but that's okay. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It's usually nice stuff anyways. Let's see. Joe was in first. Good job, Joe. Glad to see you're back on top of things. Let's see. Joe says, nice. This is a Poverty Pony lower, already built. Comes with enough parts to do a few more too. I must have missed something before that. Orion, he's talking to Chase. Says he helped a friend build a pistol once. Between the detachable barrel and the folding stock, I told him I could have built two pistols instead of one. Never forget. Right? Guys start building guns, and they had all kinds of Gucci parts on them, right? And before they know it, they're what they planned on a $500, $400 rifle. Maybe they thought, well, if I add some stuff, it'll be $800, $900. Before they know it, it's $1,500. They throw an optic on, it's $2,500, and they go, what happened to all my money? And why do I just have this one rifle that weighs 27 pounds? And they could have built two or three. Been there, done that. When you get smart, you break them back down and you build those other rifles. But my GTW rifle, that project kind of went that way. I knew it was going to be expensive from the start, but like I said, I kind of knew it was going to be expensive. This was going to be my be all end all, do everything AR. And yeah, it was expensive, but I only built it once. The old buy once, cry once, right? And I've got the be all end all. I don't need any more ARs. I'm good. Got everything I need, and that one will do it all for as long as I can ever want it to. So good to go. And I'm not upset with one part I put on it. Love it all. Still getting used to the prism sight with the magnifier. Got to do some more. We really got to run that rifle. I only have a couple hundred rounds through it, 100, and I've been reloading a ton, just cleaning up some brass. I can't let dirty brass lay. If I pick it up at the range, it's like OCD. I know it's in a coffee can, but it's dirty, so I got to clean it. So even if I go to the range and shoot 100 rounds, I got to come home, put it right in, and tumble it. All my brass has to be clean all the time, ready to go. So um, let's see who else is in here. Of course, Orion Fixer's here. Good to see him. He's down below the cheddar curtain, but that's okay. We were once on that side too. And it's not too bad down there. You just got to make some changes. That's all. Let's see who else. Joe and Orion going back and forth. David Inglesby been waiting all week for this. What, for me to bore you with a bunch of conversation? I don't know. By the way, I mentioned last week that, oh, that's right. I told you guys I was going to tell you a story this week. I kind of hope my wife is watching tonight because it's got to do with stories her grandfather told me. And I got to thinking about it. And he's told me a million stories. But when you try to put them all together and think about it, it's hard to recall some of them. And I gave you guys one last week, but I'm going to, for those, it was late in the stream. A lot of guys had checked out. My wife's family came from Germany, Switzerland, Austria, right? And her grandfather on her mother's side it's a very interesting story. And you don't get World War II stories from the other side very often, right? It's from the US side, the American side. What do they say? The victors always tell or record the history, right? So a lot can be left out sometimes. But her grandfather on her mother's side was not German. He was Swiss, very proud of it. And during the war, he went to Germany because there were jobs. All the German men were off fighting, all the war age men, and late in the war, that included just about everybody. Anybody that could walk, stand, crawl, hold a rifle, whatever. Kids on up. But so he went there because there were a lot of jobs. And he was married at that point. He had 2 children. One, my mother-in-law, was a baby, literally in a carriage, a stroller. But I said I was going to tell these stories about them experiencing the war in Germany. Most of the stories, some went throughout the war. Others were during the very end. There's great stories about when the Americans came in and liberated it. And I have a lot of them on video, but it's old camcorder video. I'm going to go on eBay, find a camcorder. I'm going to watch it all, and I'll bring you many, many more stories because it'll remind me a bunch. But I'm going to go over the one I told last week a little more in detail, and I'll tell you some other stories I can remember along the way because I promised you guys. And we're also going to have a little contest today, a giveaway. I'm going to give you guys something back for everything you give me here. And it's going to be fun. So anyhow, I still want to get back and see who's here. So Chase Kelly's here. Good to see you, Chase. Thanks for coming as usual. David Inglesby, I still don't have an AR. I know if I buy one, it will lead me down. Yeah, it will. Because you'll build the standard, the 16-inch, then you'll want a 14.5 welded and pinned, then you want a 7.5-inch. Then you'll say, well, I lose too much velocity, so I'm going to build a 10.5 or 11.5-inch. Then I'm going to build a 20-inch DMR. Oh, God, I got to have an A1 clone, so I'll build that. Yeah, it's just like the AKs. Maybe worse because, parts are cheap right now, and, God, you can just amass piles and piles of parts. I have enough takeoff parts to build a couple, 2, 3, 4 rifles. I mean, I think my wife sees these rifles appear and goes, where did that come from? Well, it was parts in the garage. She's like, yeah, right, buddy. That's just a new rifle. And honestly, it's not. I took a stock off this one. I had a buffer tube laying there. I had an oops kit plus this. So I got the lower parts kit together. I took the handguard off that. I'll put it together and magically it becomes something. But I do have to build one more rifle for a wedding gift to my daughter and her new husband because they need to protect themselves, right? So we're going to give them the training they need and the range time they need, and they will have something there to protect themselves. So I do get the fun of building that, and we might do custom Cerakote. Should I build a white one for the wedding? What do you think? Or maybe black and white, so it's like the groom's tuxedo and the wedding dress combined. What do you think? Very stately looking, right? Maybe just a stormtrooper looking rifle. I don't know. Or maybe since it's their first one, just a basic do-all rifle. We'll see. Anyhow, yeah, it leads you, David. You got to be careful because before you know it, man, there's 6 rifles sitting there, and you go, "Where did all these come from?" Who else is here? Tommy Guns. I told you last week, Tommy bought 72 rifles last week. This week he was on a pistol tear. He's got 7 plus 2 more Makarovs on the way. He'll tell us all about him here. I'm just messing with you. I love him. Tommy spends more money on guns than all of us combined. It's unbelievable how many. He says, "Oh, go ahead, start dogging on me." I'm not dogging on you, bro. I'm extremely happy for you. I'm jealous. It's awesome. I still have not pulled the trigger. I thought today I'm going to wait and pull the trigger on that MP5, and they're going to be gone. And I talked to my wife about it, and she's like, "Well, give me a couple weeks to put some dough together, and she's going to try and get it done for me." That's it. Guys, that's a really expensive firearm for me. And, we all do, the empty gun case leaves and the one comes home full, and you hope the wife doesn't notice. But when it's something like that, that's a lot of money. You got to run that past them. You can't go spend that kind of dough. Not in one shot. Holy cow. You want to make sure you're making the right decision. And that's why I haven't pulled the trigger. It's not that I'm afraid to buy it, anything like that. It's just, I want to make sure there's a reason I don't sell guns, because I research them before I get them to death, and I can think of 1 or 2 guns that I got rid of, and it wasn't because I disliked them. It was just they were maybe a duplicate and we needed money, whatever. But yeah, I just don't, because when I buy one, I know it's something I want and I'm going to want for ever, I guess. So it's just making sure it's the right one. The K pattern MP has been kind of gnawing at me a little bit because I love my so much. But in this case, I think the classic MP5 is the way to go. There's the Century gun, right? The old Zenith. Boy, that gun's a whole lot less, and it sure looks good. I love the handguard on that Century gun. I think if I got the real one, I think I'd put that slim handguard on it. I just like it. I don't know. Would that be weird for you guys? I don't know MP5s that well. I know you can deck them out and all this, and Magpul makes stuff for them. To me, putting anything Magpul on an MP5 would be sacrilege. That would just be the most horrible thing. I don't know why anybody would do that. Magpul MP5, classic, iconic Magpul in every farm and fleet across the country. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Weird. But I hate to change anything, really, but it is kind of cool. So I don't know. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say on that. So Tommy Guns is here. I'm sure he'll tell us about something he bought this week. I like to hear it. It's cool because he buys the same stuff I like. So it's always good to see what he bought. 762. I like that name. That's cool. He's in here. Alan's here. Alan Bishop. Squeaky Cooler made it in early. What's going on, Squeak? Honky Biscuit. What's up, brother? All the way from Tennessee. I know who that is. That is my good buddy Jake, isn't it? It sure is. I guarantee. I think he's down there on vacation. Dixie Living made it in. Awesome. Good to see you. It's always a great night when they're here. Such nice people. Hey, guys, gals. Got the Ace Gen. Oh, Now I'm really jealous. Gen 1 in 7.62 by 51. He got the 308. Was it the pistol or the rifle? Yeah, also picked up the Crosstex shooting bag per your recommendations. Do you like it? My wife got me that for, what was that for? What did she get? Christmas, I guess. Yeah. I use that every single range trip. It's one of the best things she's ever bought me. I love it. It works out. I thought it was too light. Weren't you surprised by how light it was? I thought it didn't come with filler or something when I opened it up. It was so light, but it works out great. It sticks well. Yeah, it's really kind of cool. And you'll like the squeeze bag. I'm going to try the pistol out on it because I changed the sights out on my Glock 17. I put some Trigicons on it and really like those sights. Man, they pop so much better. And I want to do some kind of bench rest shooting with it and make sure I'm on. I'm sure I am, but we'll make sure. 7.62 by 51. If you guys look, I don't even know if the video is still up. I may have made it private. I did a video for a raffle that Krebs was doing for an employee of theirs. He had gotten sick and the family was falling behind in bills, and also we raised a bunch of money for him. And all of Mark's vendors and other suppliers, including IWI. Though IWI donated a 7.62 by 51 Ace pistol as a giveaway prize, and these raffle tickets were cheap, and your odds of winning were huge. And I bought some tickets, and then I thought, if I won, it would look funky. So I gave the tickets away, and I don't know if anyone ever won on them, but somebody won that rifle. Another famous AK company donated a bunch of stuff. There was so much given away. It was incredible. Anyhow, IWI gave that away, and me and Mark got to talking about IWI, and he said, Chris, when I call there to talk to him about something, this was back when he was developing the 7.62 by 39 gun. The 9 by 39 gun, which was super secret squirrel, top secret stuff back then. And we were shooting it and everything. And God, what a fabulous gun. Originally, that gun was going to come out made on the Galil, the IWI Ace Galil gun. He was going to make the changes to that, and that was going to be the 9 by 39. Well, at the time, IWI couldn't get enough of them in the country for him to do a big enough run of them. So he had to make a change, and he went with the Sharps Brothers receiver, which that was fabulous too. It just put it behind a couple months at least, because they took what John Sharps had and made some changes, and Mark customized it, asked him to do this and that. You guys can see my videos on that. I've shot a lot of guns with suppressors on them, and I don't care if it's a 22. I don't care what caliber. I don't care what can. You have never shot anything quieter than that 7.62, or I'm sorry, that 9 by 39 pistol, Krebs pistol with that Liberty silencer on it. What you hear in the video is truly how loud it was. People you say what you want. Say I turned the volume down, say I muffled it, say I didn't put the mic close enough. I'm telling you, when I listen to that video, it is exactly what I heard sitting behind the gun, watching someone else shoot it 5 feet away, 10 feet away, 30 feet away. That's what it sounded. It is the quietest. You can hear that Galil action. Just it's so fabulous. And the round is so big and heavy, like a 45. When it hits, it's just a whack. It's like dropping a brick into thick mud. Just it's unreal. You can just feel that whack. When that thing, if it hit you in the chest, it'd be like being punched by Muhammad Ali. I mean, craziness. And when those things ricochet, it's like the movies. You hear twang, and they go flying off. Yeah, we had a lot of that going on one time down at Jake's house. Actually, my honky biscuit buddy here. Thank God we were shooting in it's like a natural coliseum. You're surrounded on all sides, 8 stories high. But those things went zipping, and we're all kind of looking at each other like, where'd that one go? Hopefully it didn't hit the 500-pound propane tank or something. But yeah, that's an amazing gun. And I can only imagine yours, Dixie, in that 7.62 by 51. What a great gun, man. Holy cow. Yeah, I bet you got the rifle. And where'd you find the Gen 1? That Gen 1, I wish I had gotten the Gen 1 instead of the Gen 2. I really do. There's a gun I might trade for that. I just didn't think there'd be one available, and if they were, they'd be asking ridiculous money. So don't get me wrong, Gen 2 shoots great, just like the looks of the Gen 1. Let's see. I have the be all end all AR. I was thinking new lower will be a by 39. Yeah, the cool thing is you can always put any upper on there, Joe. The whole key to 39 in an AR is, of course, mags. Got to get the good stuff. Dixie living. Christine comes from good stock thanks to keeping Chris straight. Let's see. I started with the A2 carbine. Who else is in here? Save the Bees made it. Cool. Hey, all sorry I haven't been here lately. Been sick as a dog past week, but today I picked up a B&T. Nice gun. Wow. Swiss guns. Something about those Swiss guns, man. And maybe that's why I like the MP5 so much. I don't know. Well, it's German actually, right? But the whole roller lock system, I like that gun. I can't wait. Joe, I'm still hoping some more Colt A1 surplus kits. Someone just had some. I wish I could remember where. Arms Unlimited, maybe, and they had a whole bunch of Colt guns too, marked government property and everything. Some cool stuff. I get their ads emailed to me. You might want to take a look over there, see what you see. Tommy gun bidding on a Rifle Dynamics. Boo. On Gun Broker right now. Just got there. Don't get me wrong, they're good guns. Everybody. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Jim Fuller, if that's what everybody's enthralled with in his personality. But I got to say, I've shot them both. And to me, his guns are no great shakes. I would take a Krebs gun over that. And I'm biased. I'm a fanboy, I guess. But I wasn't. I bought a Krebs gun before I knew Mark, before anything. And once I met him, the guys at his shop, everything, it just cemented into me the quality and the vision and the expertise that goes into those guns and the quality of the finish. I promise you will not find a nicer one. I'm trying to think of the other company that helps him out, and a newer AK company. They're actually making copies of the CZ Scorpion sights for the Galils, and I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me anyhow. Interesting stuff. So I think we'll start out real quick. I'm going to get to the family stories here in World War II. I just want to go through a few things. So what's the ammo situation look like? I stop in all over the place just to see what's going on. Cool story today. I'm at work and my wife texts me and she says, "Do you need any ammo?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, my wife's asking if I need ammo? That's weird. You have no idea how weird. Like, either like I'm thinking, does she want something? No, she doesn't want it. If she wants something, she'll just do it. That's how she is. But I'm like, what the heck? How could she be asking? And I'm thinking, okay, if I come back, I hadn't called her in a couple of days, just been busy and whatever, and this and that. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to answer, yeah, sure, where are you at? And she's going to say, oh, you'll answer me when I say ammo or something, but you won't answer me otherwise. So I text her back, and not the only reason I text her back like this, but I said, how's it going down there? How's your dad? Her dad's not been doing too hot. So she went down to make sure he's doing good. And she said, he's doing good, this and that. Do you need any ammo? And I'm like, where are you at? So I call her, and she's at a pawn shop. Now, if you know my wife and pawn shop don't go together. That is like this, not like this. Okay, my wife's more Neiman Marcus, Saks. Yeah, pawn shop. She's never been in one. She was today. Just turns out that the place, she was with one of her niece, and they were getting their hair done somewhere down there, and it's attached to a pawn shop. The owner of the hair place, her husband runs a pawn shop and such. And I'm like, how very Tennessee. You're getting your hair done at a pawn shop. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I did make that joke. I thought it was funny. Anyhow, she's like, yeah, they have a pawn shop and he's got ammo. And do you need anything? And I'm like, you guys know I don't need any ammo. I really don't. But you can always use some. So I'm thinking, well, I only buy ammo when there's super deals lately. I load so much lately that to keep me busy that it's just like, what do I need? I'm thinking. I'm like, well, if he's got cases cheap, maybe. But then I'm thinking, well, she flew down there, so how are we going to get it back? And I'm like, well, I could use one thing if they have it. And I thought, never in a million years will they have it. I wanted some 5.7 for the Ruger pistol, the little bottleneck rifle-looking cartridge for you either got an FN or you got a Ruger. Those are the only two pistols made. Supposedly punches through body armor, all that crap, right? And you just can't find it. And when you do, it's astronomical. And there's only two brands out there, usually either the original FN stuff, which is really good stuff, or American Eagle. And I was kind of hoping there was some FN, but that American Eagle runs great in my gun and it's cheaper. So she asked, and the guy says, yeah, I got 2 boxes left. So that in itself tells you, how popular it is. But that's like the first 2 boxes I've seen in months and months. So she grabbed them. The one time I did see them, they were almost $50 a box. That's crazy. It's the size of a 22 box, and I passed. So she said they're $43. I thought, oh, that's pretty good. So I got 2 boxes, and that was very nice of her to call me, and ended up getting something really rare that I can't find normally. So that was cool. But I stop at all these places always just to see what's going on so I can report to you guys. The box stores, the farm and fleets, the fleet farms, this and that, there's quite a bit of 9 out there. There's tons of 40. 45, there's some, but kind of rare and expensive, very expensive on the 45. 9, the cheapest I'm seeing it is $17 a box, and most of it was creeping up toward 19, $20, which that's just a lot of money, and it's not even good stuff. It's average stuff. I did see a lot more hunting calibers, 270. There's 308 everywhere. 308. There's 5.56 and 223 all over, from green tip to 193. Steel case, brass, whatever you want. There are a lot of Winchester 150 round boxes and 250 round boxes. Those are going, let's see, the 150 round boxes were like 130 some dollars, and the 250 round boxes were like 100 what were they? Just over 200 maybe. So it's around that 50-cent mark, roughly, somewhere a little more than that, I guess. They have K7.62 2x39, a lot of Aguila 22, which I did pick up a box of that because it runs so well in the Glock. If you guys are looking for good 22, the 38 grain and the 40 grain is really good stuff. It's the only thing that really runs reliably in that Glock 44 of mine. I put that stuff in, no problem. Of course, CCI, the really good stuff, runs great in there, but that stuff's always expensive. Haven't seen any primer, any powders. I did see some powder online. A couple things. There's the what is it? CLK, the copper, whatever. The blackout powder that I've been using for 76239. There's some of that out there. 2230 accurate is out there. I saw a few others, but just here and there. Most of it's Magnum handgun stuff or powder for loading 50 BMG, the stuff nobody buys. But powder is hard to find. Then I got a sale thing. Got this 511 shirt and some other stuff. A sporting goods store by us had these on sale, dirt cheap. So I went up there and got that, checked out their ammo. Lo and behold, they got primers you wouldn't believe. Stacks and stacks of primers, boxes of them. But all they are is small rifle and Magnum small rifle. No small pistol, no large rifle, no large pistol. So I passed. I thought I got enough small rifle right now. And then I bought this a size too small. I had to go exchange it. So I'm looking at the primers. I'm thinking, when I need primers, I won't be able to find it. I'll have to pay hazmat shipping and all this other crap. Maybe I'll pick up 1,000 of them, or even a few hundred, whatever, for $8 and whatever. Why not? So I ended up buying 1,000 rounds. I said, give me a box. She gives it to me. I take it up there. I exchange this. I pay for that. I get home and I'm opening the box and I'm thinking, this is kind of big. And they were CCI, but somehow I had stuck in my mind all the primers I've been getting lately have been Federal, and they went to this new big box. I'm like, why is this box so big? And I'm thinking, oh yeah, Federal. The new box says, wait, they're CCI. I open it up. I got 5,000 primers for the cost of 1,000. Unbelievable. This place is screwed up. I mean, I had to go back for the right size, and they're Magnum small rifle. But that being said, for those of you that don't know, Magnum small rifle primers, the military CCI primers, the 41s, whatever they are, those are Magnum small rifle primers. They're the equivalent of them. I've watched a ton of tests. Matter of fact, I watched a reloading shop that specializes in custom ammo do pressure testing on primers. And they ran, they ran small pistol, Magnum pistol, and small rifle primers in 9mm in their test tank with their pressure gear hooked up to it. And all three primers, the pistol, Magnum pistol, and small rifle, the pressure between the three in 9mm was negligible. 1, 2, 3 PSI. Crazy. Nothing. No difference whatsoever. The big difference is in the cup hardness. So Magnums are harder to pierce, and then small rifle Magnum are the equivalent basically of the military. You can get a bigger burn from them. They do recommend for 5.56 223 when you're using ball powder. There's a ton of manuals that recommend you use the Magnum primer. Plus, 223 comes from 222 Magnum. And I was looking in my old manuals, and a lot of the old manuals for 223 recommend the Magnum primers. So no big deal. It's perfect, actually, because I'd rather have them be a little harder to pierce for those rounds. And an AR will pierce them just fine. Guys were trying to substitute them for pistol primers. And if you have done any work on the springs or whatnot, a lot of pistols won't pierce them. Another guy said he's tested a ton of stock guns, both striker fired and hammer fired, with Magnum rifle primers, and they will pierce them. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it on that. You might get light strikes on a pistol, but for 5.56 223, it's right on the money. And I use a ball powder, so better burn everything. Should be really, really good. So that was a great deal. There's ammo out there. Powder is terribly unavailable, and the other primers are still a problem. Brass seems to be available at a lot of the online places. So you just got to keep your eyes out, guys. It pops up here and there. You just got to keep your eyes open. That's all. As far as firearms, rifles, pistols, there's anything you want out there. I have been looking for that new Browning high power clone that FN came out with, and nobody's got it yet. I think they released it and then ran into a problem, and now they're not putting them out till they fix the problem because nobody's got them. And I've asked friends that have shops and all, and nobody's got them. So that's kind of what's out there. Prices seem to have dropped a little bit, but staying pretty stable. And I see the ammo will fill the shelves during the week. Then you get through the weekend, and Monday, Tuesday, they're cleaned out again. Not cleaned out, but not where it was. So hopefully we're getting to the point where things will stabilize a bit. I am seeing where the 5.56 223 and the 9mm is always on the shelves, lots of it. So there's not the frenzy going on anymore. So hopefully as the shelves fill, we will see some prices drop. So hopefully that's the case. The giveaway. So I got to come up with a question here. God, what am I going to do? So here's the giveaway, guys. To the winner, you're going to have to email me. You can get my email going to my YouTube channel here. And there's a tab at the top says About, and you can email me through YouTube. So you'll have to email me your name, address. I'm going to have sent to you a Lou Malnati's pizza to the winner. Okay. We will send it directly to your house. You'll be able to enjoy that with your family. And if you haven't tried one or have tried one after the other night, the Lou Malnati's must have had a run on their pizzas that night because I think like 10 were ordering pizzas. But we're going to give one away. I should have thought about this a little more, but I'm going to come up with a question. And whoever answers it first in the chat here will win the pizza. But I got to come up with the question. As we go along, we'll do it. So stay tuned, and we'll give you the question in a little bit, and you'll be able to answer, and the winner will get a pizza. All right. And you know what else I got? Since this is an AK channel, you know the paper clip that holds the pins in an AK. I had a company send me a bunch of the retainer clips, much easier than using the pins, the paper clips. I had a company send me a bunch of custom ones to try out, probably 10 of them. I will send a couple out for another question I do here. So we'll send those out too. Anyhow, okay, that was I should have planned that better, but oh well. MZ's here. Who else is here? Let's see who else stopped in. What are you guys talking about? 5.7 is a great idea before they stop selling that stuff with tungsten in it that pop plates. I think it's still out there. Some of the FN stuff is still out there, but I don't know. Wow, and RD, talk about pride of ownership. Congratulations. Man, everywhere in my area, whenever yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? RD verified it was a Fuller gun, and I always wanted one. was only going to get one that was a Sega or an Arsenal, so I got it. Good, good. I wanted to import. I have a crib, so I'll let you know. What Krebs model do you have? There's so many. I saw a video like that at the beginning of Scandemic about the primers. Yeah, up on a year or so. Yeah, probably, but you gotta wait, get through it till then. Picking up an 18-inch FAL tomorrow. Cool. Gotta get me a coffee. Got that caffeine buzz going. My answer is 4. That's hilarious. All right, so let's get into the World War II stories. I know a lot of you guys were waiting for this, you guys. So I guess I'll just give a little background and I'll tell you what I can remember. And then we'll get into this. When I find the other stories on the video, I'll get into it some more. Anyhow, so they're from Switzerland. He's in Germany working because there's more jobs. Got a son and a baby daughter, and he works for a dairy. Now, if I'm going over some of this, you guys heard it last week. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that didn't hear it. So the good thing about working at a dairy during a war is probably pretty obvious, right? Hard to get that fresh stuff, right? Anything, fruit, vegetables, dairy, anything that needs refrigeration that isn't canned, that can't keep, is super hard to get. Well, he's got access to it. And if you got a pound of butter, you can trade for gold bars, probably. I mean, it's crazy. But everything was accounted for, and there were, the government was controlling where everything went because the army came first. So if you got caught doing something like that, literally they could put you on your knees in the street and pop, and that's the end of that. So they had to be extremely careful, and there was this constant sense of paranoia he would tell me about. And her Oma would tell me about it too. Now, she was the one that really worried about it all the time. I think I told you guys certain subjects she would whisper about when she talked about it. If they talked about the Nazis, if they talked about anything political or the government or anything like that, she would whisper. Talk about neighbors, or a neighbor did this, or she saw that. It would be at a whisper, like somebody was listening. And to tell you the truth, they could have been, right? It had gotten to the point in Germany where neighbors would rat out neighbors just to save their own behind, He did tell me a story that he had come across some shoe polish, and he had traded a guy some butter for shoe polish. I guess it was super hard to get shoe polish. That only went to the army. Everybody else would use grease, stuff like that, to rub into the leather, to waterproof them, to make them look better, whatever. But shoe polish you just couldn't come across. So he had gotten some, and it was hidden in their apartment, in their flat. And for whatever reason, Nazi patrol had come to the door. They were, he didn't know at the time, but they must have been just either routine check or looking for something there or someone in the other apartments, but they knocked on the door, and he had just gotten this and hit it. And he said he felt like he was sweating and shaking. And because if they found it, he said, no, it'd be over. I mean, little stuff as small as that. And this was, made mountains out of molehills. You could tell he was truly scared when this happened, that they would find it. And Yeah, so little stuff like that. But he had traded little things, he said, become very important to you. Shoe polish, butter, things you think nothing of, right? Um, he said it's amazing the shortages of stuff. And even, gasoline was rationed. So for the delivery trucks for the dairy, I started to tell you guys, they didn't run them on gasoline. They would start them, I believe, on kerosene, and they'd get there early in the morning. And they had built a big boiler basically in it out of a drum, and they would start a fire with wood. You would burn it slowly, so it would basically kind of turn to charcoal almost, but they'd let just enough air in so you didn't have a flame, but the wood was burning and producing gas off of it. Now, believe it or not, the gas or the smoke that comes off a fire is flammable to whatever extent. But the not smoke, but the gas that comes off of a fire that's just smoldering at that charcoal stage, basically, is much more flammable than, say, the gray smoke you can see. Um, Once it got going to the carburetor, and the carburetor was rejetted for it, and they could run the delivery trucks on it. Now, it took hours to get this up to stage where it was ready, and they'd have to keep it going all day at the right burn. So they got good at it after a while, and it became easier, but they still had to be there hours and hours and hours before they had to make the deliveries. And then, of course, it didn't deliver power like gasoline did, right? So the truck would move, it would go, but it would slow down on hills, stuff like that. But it got it around. It made the deliveries. That being said, think about that. Think about that, guys. You hear people spout off and talk about things about, oh, I wish that would happen, or I wish we'd get it over with already. Careful what you wish for. I don't think anybody today that hasn't lived through something like that. Most people here in the US, at least that have been here a couple of generations, don't truly understand what being involved in wartime is like. Uh, and if they did, they know how the U.S. was. And granted, we weren't fighting on our soil. Now, go to a country or be in a war where you're fighting on your soil, times it by 100 how bad it is, right? You can't just run to the local store. If the stores are even open, maybe there's a couple things. There's rationing, there's tickets, there's even here in the US. My grandmother would tell me about, you get so much for so many pounds of flour, sugar, coffee. There were recycling drives for steel, for aluminum, for rubber. You couldn't get tires for your car. You literally couldn't for X amount of years. You couldn't. They stopped building cars. You couldn't get a new car, right? All the factories were busy producing wartime vehicles and weapons and planes and bombs and all that stuff. So I don't think that the last few generations really truly understand. They, if there's generations out there to think it's going to be like a desert storm or something, no. Your freedom of movement is restricted. There's patrols. You keep the lights off in your house and headlights and all of that. I mean, just on and on. I could go on and on, but they live this every single day. Try to find baby formula, right? I guarantee you, breastfeeding was a lot higher percentage then than it was now, right? Think about that. Your children's lives, these little wonderful kids running around, right? And you have to figure out a way to provide for them. And you hopefully have enough to keep them healthy, right? Maybe you can only just keep them barely nourished, right? The infant mortality rate goes up, everything. Well, with this dairy and everything, they made it through, but it was not easy. And then there were the bombing campaigns that went on. So when the U.S. and the Allies were coming, they had liberated France, Italy, on, and they were moving into Germany and getting closer and closer, right? The bombing raids started. So they would go pretty much every night. And sometimes they'd be on their side of town. Other nights, thank God they were on the other side. But he said the ground would just rumble and rumble and rumble. And they'd get up in the morning and they'd go outside and they'd look around and see whose house got hit the night before. And by one point, he said there were maybe 4 or 5 houses standing on the whole block. You could see parts of town you couldn't see before, right? Everything was just leveled. I told this last week, but I'll tell it again. He was one of the only men around, right? Able-bodied, of age male that could do guy things, right? There were a lot of women, married, single, that were home alone with the kids. And they needed things done, and they'd come to him, and of course he'd help. But this one morning, 2 elderly ladies, came over, and they were talking fast and loud and said, "Yeah, Hans, you have to come help. A bomb hit the house last night." And he's thinking, "Well, what do you want me to do? If the bomb hit it?" I said, "No, come see." Well, they were dropping these incendiary bombs, right? And that's why it was so terrible. These bombs would hit and burn complete sections of the city. And one of these bombs, what happened was they'd airburst basically. And then there were these little bomblets inside that would spread out and hit their targets and catch them on fire. So he goes to their house, he walks in the front door, and they point, and laying on the stairs there is one of these little bomblets. It's just laying there. Came through the roof, through the second or third floor, landed on the staircase, was laying there plain as day like a kid had left a toy, and it had not exploded. And they wanted him to remove it. Well, you can imagine what that was like, right? Do you touch it? What do you do? I mean, he picked it up, he carried it outside, he put it out back in the alley or whatever. I don't know if they called them alleys then, but he put it out back. Can you imagine having to do that for a neighbor? Just incredible. Incredible. I'll tell a story now about the other side of the family, my wife's family. Her father, I had the opportunity to read kind of maybe I'll read it to you guys one time. But he wrote it for the grandkids, basically. I think one of the grandkids was doing a thing for school. So he put some notes together and ended up writing this. And it's an absolutely amazing story. It's a story about that generation and or the next generation, because he was a child at the time. But just what it built and the strengths that these people had to not only get through these terrible times, but it did something to them. It changed them. It made them work harder. It gave them the drive that they have to achieve the things that they eventually did. So they were from Austria. And again, very, very proud of that heritage, right? Just like the other side, very proud of their Swiss heritage, very proud of their Austrian heritage. Um, he was with I want to be correct in this, and I hope I am. And I'll correct it next week, but I'm pretty sure I'm on the money. They were fleeing ahead of the Russians. So as the Allied powers were converging, the Americans from one side, the Russians from the other, as they were converging, they had to stay ahead of them, basically. The Russians were wiping everything out in their way. They were very angry over what Germany had done to their country and their people. And uh, both had developed like a scorched earth policy, right? And they were, in a lot of ways, much more afraid of the Russians than anything else. And they were essentially moving ahead of them, trying to stay ahead of them till they could get to the American side, I guess, whatever. Um, but they were still in German occupied territory. And he remembers being in this town for a night or two, I believe. And he had seen a group of Germans that had what he assumed, I don't even know if he knew at the time that they were Jewish. They had them under guard, and were moving them. And he remembered them, either remembered them just being extremely hungry or emaciated, or maybe they had even asked for food. And I don't recall if he gave them food or if his mother uh, kept him away from them, whatever. But he remembered them being very hungry and I think feeling kind of sorry for him. And they passed by and it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. Well, the next day or so, he noticed they weren't there and he asked his mother what happened to those people. And what had happened was, he didn't know this, and I don't think she told him, or he found out later, that they had killed them all and buried them in the graveyard in town there. But that was one of the stories in there. Fleeing ahead of the Russians was an amazing thing because his mother's trying to keep this young child fed along the way, and they're moving with whatever possessions they have. And just, can you imagine that? I mean, how his mother felt, how he felt as a little boy. He had to be scared, right? Out of his mind, you would think. Um, Long story short, I'll skip ahead a bit. Uh, his parents left him in the care of a chef that worked at a large hotel in one of the large German cities. And at that point, when you were done with grammar school, you were done. You found a trade, you whatever. So essentially, they set him up with being a runner, errand apprentice to this chef. In return, he had a room at the hotel, or a place at least to sleep at the hotel. I don't know if they paid him anything on top of it, but they then emigrated to America, leaving him behind. I don't know why they couldn't bring him with. I don't know if it was money. I don't know if it was an immigration thing. I don't know. But he got left behind, and it was, I believe, at least a year or two later that they were able to contact them and get him to America. Can you imagine at that young age, whatever it was, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, just being left? Your parents are in another country halfway across the world. Some guy is your boss and you're sleeping in a strange place and all this stuff. He gets to America, and while he was schooled there and all, uh, he was behind, right? And now he's older. He's, I guess, about the age you'd be right after you graduated high school, and he wants to go to college. There's a language barrier and everything. He's talking these colleges, and he comes to find out that, well, in order to do this, you need a high school degree. And he said, I wish, he said, with the language barrier and all, he wishes somebody had just told him that. He could have went to night school or this and that, got that done, because he wanted to go to school so bad. Um, I don't know who it was, maybe his parents, but they impressed upon him that to get anywhere, you needed an education. So he didn't know English at that point, or very little. Went to night school while working, uh, got his high school diploma, and then applied to college, went to school for a little while, eventually ended up getting into Northwestern University, if you know what that is. That's essentially an Ivy League school. I believe maybe on a scholarship. Got an engineering degree, had several engineering jobs, ended up working for Ford for a lot of years as an industrial engineer, steel case after that. But can you imagine just the drive to get that done? To get that done on your own, no help, don't know the language, money, getting just to another country, staying on your own, all those things. I'm sure some of them. I know for a while, I believe he had a lot of fear. He remembers, uh, maybe dreams or whatever about the times over in Europe. Uh, that even when he was here, there were certain times he wouldn't feel safe or whatever. But can you imagine what they did? This is a generation that got here with nothing and made this generation's lives what they are. Yeah, we work hard. Yeah, we provide for our families. Yeah, we bust our tails and we do everything we can for them, right? And hopefully we live well. I'm thankful for everything I have. But my parents were able to give me an education and all that stuff. These people did it on their own from nothing. And I look around at some of the generations today and I just shake my head. And I even hear people say, I had somebody say on YouTube, say, "What are you talking about? The greatest generation? What did they do that's so great?" Holy cow, dude. You want to reach through the screen and just say, "Wake up, wake up." It's what's wrong. Everything should be given and everything should be there. And oh, it's not fair. And I, it's just nothing's fair. Nothing's fair. You make what you make of it. And there's no trying. Everybody gets an award and all the same crap you guys have heard. But I find it so amazing, and I'm glossing over this. I will read you the biography. It's not all that long, and it's just amazing. And what they gave to their children, the next generation, is amazing. Amazing. The next time you think, well, my parents didn't do this for me, or my parents didn't do that, get over yourself, man. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. If you get it, great, wonderful. If not, oh well. I mean, it is what it is, right? We always want. I guarantee you, one generation wants to do as much as they possibly can for the next, as much as possible. But at some point, I think it was detrimental to a lot. Just my thought. Trying to think of another story here. God, there's so many. Oh, let's talk about when the Americans came to town, right? It's like the circus coming to town to them, really. So they remember when the U.S. Army finally got there. And I want to say, I hope I'm right when I say it was Frankfurt they were in. But, the tanks and the Jeeps start coming in, the people are lining the streets. And Hans was at home and a neighbor came over. He said, Hansi, come on. They're at the winery or whatever. And it's a party and let's go. And he said, what? There was, I guess, a big winery in town that down in the literal wine cellars were these ginormous, I'm not talking a keg or a barrel that they aged the wine in. I'm talking a barrel the size of the foundation of your house. Okay. The way he made it out, they were 20 feet long or 25 feet long and 15 feet high and across. And these huge, huge barrels of wine that they would age it in. And they're down in the cellar. So as they approached the cellar, it was several steps down. And the townspeople were basically looting and grabbing and doing whatever. Anything the Germans, government or army had been in control of that was now not protected, they were going after. So anywhere there was food stored, or in this case, wine or whatever, they were going in and getting, and everybody was partying. So as they got to those stairs, it's 4 or 5 stairs down, they had broken open these huge casks of wine with axes, whatever they had, and the wine started pouring out. Well, this is thousands of gallons. The wine was so deep, it was up 3 or 4 stairs. So it was over your knees in the basement, maybe almost waist high. And what had happened was people that were down there ended up dying from fumes and whatever. They had either passed out and fallen in and drowned or whatever. But he said there were bodies floating in it, but yet people had pitchers and were scooping up pitchers of wine. And his friend said, "Come on, Hans, here's a pitcher. Let's go." And he said, "I'm not drinking." He had heard in that heavy, thick Swiss accent, "I am not drinking this shit." You know? There were literally bodies floating in it. And funny things he saw, little things. It's funny what he remembers. There was one guy he remembers in all this chaos was rolling a giant wheel of cheese down the street. It was like a wheel of cheese that was like 3.5, 4 feet high. And the guy was rolling it like a tire down the street, like taking it home. And then as the tanks and everything went through, he was standing with his wife, and they both must have seen it at the same time. And they had like their jaws hit the ground. They were incredible. No, you know what it was? A black man. They had never seen a black person ever. They could not believe it. They'd just never seen one. I guess in Switzerland, there was no African American population at the time. I don't know if Germany did or not. I don't know. But all I can tell you is they were amazed. They had never, I don't know if they had not even heard of it, it sounded like. I don't know. I mean, he said they were just amazed. It was the first time ever they had seen a non-white person. I don't know if I don't know, but it was that I find that pretty amazing that that you think today, cultures, people, whether they're black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. I guess the world was a whole different place. People didn't have that freedom of movement, or were not able to get those distances to these other countries, or maybe didn't have the money to travel, or the means, or the whatever. But yeah, they'd never seen anyone from Africa before. And they were just amazed. He said that was so. It's like again. I said the funniest things that they remember, these bits and pieces. So you got a cheese wheel, a black guy, and a bunch of wine in a basement. I mean, his stories would jump because then you got life going on during and in between all of this. But I always found it amazing uh, how they just got through the everyday things. They grew small gardens in their backyard. Um, I seem to remember a story of maybe the moms, pregnant moms or nursing moms, maybe sharing milk for the babies somehow. I don't know, something about that, but to keep the babies fed and everything. I told probably one of the best and scariest stories last week, and I'll finish with this one, and then we'll get into the contest and some other stuff, and then I'll come up with some more for you as I remember these, as I get them up, pull them up on the video I shot. I'll tell you one every other week or something when I can. But so we're going back a little bit now. The Americans are coming. The Germans are fleeing, heading toward away from wherever the liberating forces were coming. And it was supposed to be a bad week or weekend of bombing. And they knew that the Allies were very, very close, just outside of town. And they wanted to get out because this was like the night before the final push, and they knew there were going to be bombing runs that night. So the owner of the dairy gave him the truck, and he said, "Get your family out of town." So he loads the family up and he's heading out of town. And coming the other way is a German patrol. And they all raise their rifles and stop him at gunpoint. He's there with his daughter and his wife, and they tell him, "Turn this truck around. You're driving us toward Berlin or whatever." And he says, "I can't. I'm going this way." They turn it around. They put the gun to his head and everything. So he turned it around and he drove them back to the edge of the city, wherever it was. It was far enough where they got off and he was good to go. So he turned back around, got outside of town. At this point, it's getting dark. It's very dark. He sees a grove of trees and he figures, well, we're far enough outside of town. We could stay here for the night. So he pulls the truck off the road, grove of trees. The kids go to bed. They have a little to eat they had brought with, and they were going to stay there for the night. I believe he slept basically with one eye open, or maybe didn't sleep, whatever the case may be. But toward morning, it was still dark, and all hell breaks loose. And there's bombs dropping all around him. All around him. They're just, the machine gun rounds and bombs going off and explosions everywhere. And he can hear vehicles on the road and all of that. And they crawled under the truck and stayed there. When it finally got light out, he realized that that grove of trees he had parked in was right next to a ginormous munitions plant. So, of course, it was a huge target for the Allies. He had parked right next to one of the largest targets, one of the worst places he could have went. And it was only by God's good grace that they didn't take a direct hit to that truck and everybody get blown to smithereens. But they loaded back up, cut over to a side road, and they got out while everybody else was coming in. But just an amazing night. I mean, just unbelievable. Crazy. Anyhow. So here's what I'm going to throw out for a question. You guys ready? I'm going to do it quick so nobody's too ready. All right. I'm going to have you guys. I have one in mind. What is my favorite AK variant? My specific rifle. What is my favorite? First answer gets a loose pizza. So let's go, guys. Let's see what we put up there. Nobody wants a pizza? Okay. I know you're typing. Chase got it. I was going to say, okay, now, which one? Side folding or fixed stock? For the bonus, Chase. Chase got it with the Vepr, though. That is my favorite all-around rifle. I think it's the best functioning, best everything. My Krebs is close by. I love them all. You guys hit them a lot on the head, but my favorite and the one I had in mind was the Vepr. And I like both. I like the fixed stock and I like the folding. They're just fabulous. Love them. I think they're the best built. Everything. And I can't say anything bad about the other one. And yeah, Chase, you're right. That side folding one is great. It's by far my favorite. If I had to pick one, I'd pick that and I'd just add some stuff to it. I haven't added anything much to those guns as far as optics and things like that, because I think those are going to be truly collectible, expensive rifles. And I really don't care. I still shoot them, but it's such a great rifle. If you guys have the chance and you can find a Vepr, new secondary market, I don't care what, just get it. It is, you don't know what an AK feels like, a proper Russian. It's a totally different gun than, say, a Wasser, even anything. Those Vepers are just phenomenal. I think they're better than the SGLs. I think anything. They're just great. So congratulations, Chase won the pizza. Drop me your address and stuff in the email there, and I will get one out to you. And no, you don't have your choice of what's on it. You get a Chicago goddamn classic, and that's it. Got it? That's the only thing Lou's sells, period. Chicago classic. Sausage, tomatoes, cheese, butter crust, done. None of this foo-foo crap. Anyhow. Mike Krebs custom. I love that gun too. I love them all. They have just there's different personalities, but I think if I had to take one, it would be the Vepr. It absolutely would. I never got through my top 5 video, so there's your answer for number 1. Anyhow, we'll finish those up one of these days. I got involved in this Buy 39 project, and it's taken up a lot of time. So we said what we would talk about. And guess what, guys? For the first 3 that answered, let's see, 1, 2, 3, first 4 that answered there. If you guys have an AK or AKs, drop me your address in my email, and I'll send you guys one of these pin retainers, okay? They're stainless. Let me grab them. I'll show you. Hold on. Here's what they are. They're nice. This gentleman makes them, and he sent me a bunch to try out. And I'll send you each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 9 of them here. I need some for my guns, so most of them have them. But and if I have one in everything, I'll send them all out. But I'm only going to keep what I need. But I want you guys to have them. If you don't have one of these in your gun, guys, in place of the paper clip, you absolutely want it. Those paper clips at some point will either jump, break, or just cause you headaches when you take it to clean it. This is so much easier to put in and out. You have to have these in your gun. You absolutely have to. This should be the first thing you buy for an AK. It's one of these. And they're only a couple bucks. Tapco used to make them. I think they were $5, $7, something like that. These are really nice. They work. I've had them. They've worked in everything. I haven't had them not work in anything. They're in Veprs, Yugos, everything. They work really nice, and they're high quality. Even the edges are chamfered. They're nice. So we'll get you some out too. So that's Chase, Joe, David, and Dixie. If you guys have an AK, which you probably all do, right? Send your name, address, all that good stuff, and I will get one out to you here. So hope you enjoyed that, guys. We are I don't even know how many subscribers I'm at. Got to be 6,000. Dude, I hit 44,045 like nothing. And it took so long to get to 5 and now almost 6. It's taken like a year and a half. It took me 6 months to get to that, and then it just stopped. It just stopped. Yeah, and you know what it is, right? We all know what it is. It's WikiWiki, right? They do their darndest to stop us. We were growing it was like a rocket ship, and just stopped. I don't know. The last 6 months too, I slowed down because of things that happened and all. But you'd think with the live streams and all, I do got to get more videos pumping to you. Maybe that'll help, but it's crazy. I need your help, guys. You need to share share my videos on your Facebook, wherever you can. Tell your friends, get them in here. We need to get this thing moving. Make sure you're commenting on the videos, whatever you can. If you want to help the channel, obviously there's super chats here. If you go down below the chat there, you'll see a little thing with a dollar sign. You can send us a super chat to help out with ammo costs, with everything. Everything you see on this channel is 100% from me and my family. It's our efforts, our money that goes into doing this channel. And we love to do it, but it's expensive. So anything you guys can do is always helpful. We appreciate it. We are going to have something cool here. I'll let you in on it right now. Fred Pickering from Pickering Custom Guns and Ammo in Michigan is working on some custom Rock Ordnance AR mags for us. They're going to be P mags, custom done with our logo, and we'll give away a couple, and we'll probably maybe we'll sell some too. I don't know. We'll see. But he was nice enough to take that project on his own, and awesome. So check him out, Pickering Customs. You can, but a lot of neat stuff and a world of knowledge. So make sure you're checking him out. Let's see. Guess I paid attention this last year. Yeah, you did. I paid attention too. It's hard to pick. I know it is. It's terrible. It is like trying to pick a favorite kid. You just can't. But all in all, those Vepers are just phenomenal. I was on KVAR's website. They don't have squat. It's all members only pricing. What the hell? See, well, you had to spend the money I used to spend. I get personal phone calls from them. Hey, Chris, we put one of these aside for you. It's not a good thing, guys. Anyhow, what the hell was I going to talk about next? Oh, the Grand video. So I don't know how many of you saw the Grand video, but we had been doing a ton of reloading and testing on that 7.62 by 39, and I just needed a break from it. I'm frustrated with it right now. And Fred's done so much to help me with it, from supplying me with projectiles and powder and everything. And we've had some success now, and I just needed to clear my head on it and put some thoughts of my own together on these loads. And I think I can achieve the velocities I need now. I know what bullets I think I'm going to use, and some right now are available online. I can get bigger quantities than 20 of it. I just can't do the testing with 20 bullets. I need 100 bullets. So I'm going to get some of these, and I'm going to load up, and I've got a direction I know I'm going to go, and it's going to lead us to a really nice round. So I'm happy about that. But I loaded up a bunch of 30-06, and we went out and had some fun. And don't you know, in the video, I don't think I measured them, but with iron peep sights at 100 yards, I was shooting groups. I had one that was right around 2 inches, and that's really, really good with an iron peep sight at my age, with my eyes at that distance. It shot so nice and so well. Just had a ton of fun with it. It's loading nice and easy, and the gun just runs so darn good. Just had a blast. So we did the video. I loaded up. You know, they give you specs for that gun. You don't want to run modern 30-06 through it. It's too powerful. Today's powders, all that. They say you can bend op rods and this and that. Other guys say, "Oh, go and run it." I went through it. Nothing super high power, just like American Eagle stuff, which is actually a military load. And I've run it fine, no problems. I ran some Remington core locked, and fine. Didn't hurt anything. But they give Garand service rifle specs in the loading manuals, and it's a very short range. Like normally you got 5 grains of powder from low end to high end. Here you have like a grain in it. And I'm trying to think if I noticed much difference. There really wasn't that much difference. I may have to ladder it up a little, but I'm going to do that. And then we're going with one base load. And that's what I'm just going to load everything I got. And I've got probably a couple hundred loaded for it and another 100 or two go. So we'll always have 400 or 500 rounds in stock. And as I shoot it, I just load more. They're easy to load, being they're so big. And we might go to heavier projectiles. I've been shooting exclusively 150 grain, but we may go to 168 grain in that gun. And I bet it shoots really, really well at that point. But God, it's fun to shoot. We're going to get out 200. We're going to go prone with it. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. It's just such a cool rifle and so much fun. I got the real bayonet for it. You guys saw it. I should have put it in the video, but you'll be seeing more of that. We are playing catch up on some of them, where I did videos for you guys introducing the guns. Well, we're going to bring a bunch of videos out going over them, how they're doing a year later, how much we've shot them, what we found out, things we like, things we don't like, things we thought we liked then, and now maybe I'd go in a different direction with it. So you guys will see a lot of reviews and information on the actual use, the actual in-service and the serviceability of these guns and accessories. So you'll find out, hey, what's really worked over this last couple of years of just using it, shooting it. What appeals to us about it? I'll tell you, that same day, I took out my X95 Tavor. Man, that gun's growing on me. That thing with just a red dot. I could be standing, leaning, laying down, sitting on a bench, whatever, and I could just put rounds on target with that thing. And the recoil is just so minimal. God, I really like that gun. Just really nice. So we had fun. I don't know. What'd you guys think of that video? And how many of you got grands? That stuff you got to grab now, guys. It's kind of like when they cut the Vepers off. There was a 6 months or so where you could get your hands on a Veper still, and they weren't too bad. Well, that's how the grands are going right now. There's still some there. Don't be waiting. Don't be waiting. I want to see what you guys were talking about here, and then we'll get back into things. Saw Russian SKS today. Beautiful color on the wood, blade bayonet, but they wanted $1,250. What? God, they were $100. I've got a beautiful one. If you look on my Instagram, there's a picture of my Russian one, and it's got that Arctic birch stock where it's flamed, and I mean real tiger flame, not where somebody burnt the wood to make it look like it, with that deep red burgundy shellac. God, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Gotta get that out and shoot the hell out of it too. There's so many cool videos I can do, but we'll do that. $1,250 though, that's insane. Let's see. Rockford Ordnance, my answer is, that was fourth. And then Tommy says, trivia question is, what iconic movie did that line? Your answer is 4. LOL, I would bet you know. And the Krebs is PD-18. Oh, cool. That's a nice rifle, or pistol, I guess. Oh, there was a pistol version of it. Iconic movie. Your answer is 4. I don't remember. That. I'll probably know the movie when you say it. But Dixie, my grandparents, our great-grandparents frequently told us how our farm got our family through the Depression. Yeah, that's cool. Think about that too. And, my mother was a product of the Depression. She went through it. My grandmother, I could tell you stories about how it affected her till the day she died, how she would, in the 70s, 80s, when things were doing well again and all, she had canned food stored. You wouldn't believe. They were never, ever going to go hungry again. I promise you that. Things they would do, how she'd save things, recycle things. It was all because of that. Hey, 2AEDU does it all the time. He takes a 30-second or a minute break. I'm going to do that right now. 30 seconds, guys. I will be right back. Give me 30 seconds, okay? Thank you. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. It is called Coffee and Kalashnikovs, and sometimes the coffee gets to you. And we're an hour and a half in, so hey. Um, Talking about the Depression, I'm sure Dixie can tell you. My grandmother, they were typical post-war family. Um, when Grandpa got back from the war, he was in the Navy. He was on, from what he tells me, the first ship into Tokyo Harbor. And the reason he was on the first ship was he was on a minesweeper. So he had to go in, their ship went in the harbor, swept either just outside or in the harbor for mines, and then the rest could follow, right? But when he got back from the Pacific Theater, um, he took a job, factory job, and he worked for, if you guys remember, before they are what they are now, it was called Mallory Battery Company. Anybody remember Mallory, Mallory? They became Duracell, Copper Top. So he started there just on the line, whatever, had a high school education, if that. I'll go back a little bit. Before the war, I have a picture of him and my grandmother on their wedding day, and they were from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, tiny little town right on near the border. Uh, I guess I can say Ironwood. So their families were all iron ore miners. Many of the relatives died of what they call red lung, similar to coal miners with black lung. Well, they got red lung from iron ore. And there was a big cave in that town. There was the Pabst mine, Pabst, yes, Pabst Brewery. They owned a big mine up there. It was the largest cave in the U.S. at the time, in the world at the time. And it still may be, I'm not sure. But there's a big sign on the actual access hole, which is about a block down from their home, which I was at not long ago. The family home that my great great grandfather built. It was for sale, and we went in. The china cabinet was still, my mother remembered it like it was yesterday. You went in the basement, which was a stone foundation, and at the time dirt floors. Now they had put cement down. But on the main beam of the house, which was a hand hewn beam, like steel beam, but written on it, you could still see they had written in chalk the kids' names. They had all signed it. My mom's name was still on there 80 years later. Pretty neat to see. The town, when the mines closed, got very depressed. No jobs, nothing. Uh, and it's still kind of like that. You could have bought that house. I think we almost did just to have it, but then thought, what are we going to do with it? Could rent it maybe during snowmobile season, but ended up not doing it. But it was like less than 30 grand for a nice house with a big side yard, everything. But it was neat to see it. Anyways, a block down is the entrance to the mine where they rescued him out of. And there's a sign there, maybe 3 by 6 feet sign telling about the Pabst mine cave in, how they got him out, all that. And it's very unceremoniously sitting there in this overgrown field, woodsy area. And unless you caught it driving by, you might not even see it. And you think of it, made national news, maybe even world news at the time, and now it's just this forgotten little thing. And the Pabst Brewery owned it, and you wonder at the time how much spin was in the media and all that about what had happened and everything. Anyhow, um, my grandmother and my grandfather got married. The night they were married, they just went down to Justice of the Peace, whatever, got married, and it was a Friday. And there was a fish fry at, I guess, I don't know, I think it was a VFW. This was pre-World War II. And they couldn't go in and have dinner because between them they had, I think fish fry was like 10 cents each or 20 cents each. And they didn't have enough money. And after the fact, they had been talking to someone. And they said, well, hell, you should have This is after the war. Um, During the Depression, they had the highway thing going on where the men would go to work on these work crews, maybe out of town. They'd leave for a week. The government was paying them essentially to build highways and whatnot. And he did that. When he got back from the war, he went down to Chicago and got a job in a factory and worked his way up from working on the line at Mallory Battery to being a vice president. Now, today, would that happen? Less than a high school education? Probably not. But he ended up one of the bigwigs there. I remember flying in the owner or president's, it was one of the first back then, private jet helicopters. It was pretty cool, pretty cool. And he would make trips to Taiwan all the time on business and bring us some pretty cool stuff. It was neat. But again, that generation, right? From nothing to something with no help whatsoever. Finally moved my grandmother down to Chicago, raised a family, bought a post-war home that my aunt still lives in to this day. It's just amazing, guys. Just amazing. I wish I had some of the things he brought back. I don't know whatever happened to him. My grandfather was a pilot in the Army Air Corps, and he trained pilots. He flew gliders as well. When he got back from the war, he flew a float plane off Navy Pier for tourists. And I have pictures of him flying the float plane, pulling my father behind it on water skis, and they did a show for tourists on Navy Pier. He eventually went to work for the city and actually went in partners, bought a filling station, repair facility, and for Standard Oil. And he had actually brought back a bring home Luger at the time. And it's a long story. My father ended up with it for a while, and then his mother had it, and it ended up being pawned away by a family member that was kind of the black sheep of the family. Unfortunate to lose such a thing like that, but just going back to some of these stories, it's just amazing. I'm sure you all have them too, like Dixie said. And I started to say, my grandmother, she had shelves and shelves in the basement of canned vegetables and everything. And they wouldn't spend money if they didn't need to. And everything got reused and saved. And you could see it affects my mother to this day. I watch things my mom does and how she's frugal. She can have anything she wants and just so frugal. Because they know those times and they don't ever want to go through them again. And unfortunately, history has a way of repeating itself. So just make sure, I know Joe does it, everybody, just make sure you're ready for those when times aren't so good. Let's see. Grandparents and great-grandparents frequently told us how our farm got them through. Yeah. The American farm, bad things happen to farmers too then, but at least they probably always fed themselves, right? Joe, my aunt raised my dad and his two brothers during World War II while grandma worked at Kraft Cheese and grandpa worked welding on the Atomic Energy Commission. Cool. There was a big Kraft headquarters down in a suburb of Chicago years ago and had some World War II, so many things were rationed. My mom says she now, for there was none for years. Same with tires, gasoline, meat, etc. Yeah. Yep. There's a reason, families ate certain cuts of meat, and you think, why the hell would they eat that? Well, because that's what there was, everything was rationed. Squeaky cooler. I remember my grandmother telling that the family would live on a big pot of potato soup and baked bread through the week back then. Rationed, of course, so it would last for a family with 7 kids. Wow. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, guys? And I guarantee you they baked that bread too. They didn't buy it. Imagine, I know my grandma would let it rise, and everything. There'd be the big bowl. And yeah, big thing of soup. Hey, soup goes a long way. Potato soup does sound good right now. Why do we always end up making each other hungry on this channel? Okay, Chase got through that. We know who won. Let's see what else we got here. It jumped on me. Sorry, guys. Oh God, I missed a super chat. Alan Bishop sent a super chat. Maybe the Ukraine can start importing AK ammo now that they don't need to use it on the Russians for now. Oh, did they settle it? They gave them something. I heard they went in. I hope they didn't give them anything. It's a bunch of crap. Yeah, I'm on the Gun of the Month Club here with them. Yep. Orion said he's had his trigger pin walk out because of the paper clip, but the things like you have there don't work in my Mac 90 because of the side mount I installed. Okay. Alan said triangle side folder. I love that one too. God, there's so many that are nice. Squeaky Cooler, been a while since I made potato soup. Tommy Guns just made a pot of homemade pheasant. God, I love pheasant. I love pheasant. So good. I got a bunch in the freezer still from when me and my son went hunting. I should eat it. It's probably freezer burned by now. Used to make pheasant and dumplings. That's what I used to make too. We'd put the top over it like a pot pie almost. So good. Venison stew too. God, I didn't get a deer this year. That sucks. Joe, love the Grand, but want an M2 carbine more. That would be cool. I should, I never did a video on my M1 carbine. I should do that. M1, then he says M1 carbine rather M2. Yeah, right. Chase, that's why he does this to get people shooting. They have military loaded ball for the Grand. Yeah, PPU. That's exactly what I use. That PPU Grand ammo. I bought about 200 rounds of it, and that's what I use for my main brass supply. That PPU stuff is great. I just looked. You know what I was paying for that stuff? Before all this happened, the summer before when I got the Grand, $17.99 a box for PPU 30-06. What do you think it is now? I hate to look. I can't even find that Grand ammo anymore. Dixie, love the Grand video. Could see you marching through Sicily. It just makes you feel so cool, that gun. It's like you can feel, almost hear the history coming out of it. It's so heavy, and it's just got that feel. I can't explain it till you hold one. It's amazing. Every scratch, you wonder how it happened, or whatever. Venison this year. Wait, he got no venison the last 2 years between COVID, losing his father and dealing with another family issue. Can't wait to get back in the hunt. Right? I just can't wait for a full normal year. We've had some real tragedies in my family lately, and don't want any more. We need just a year free of grief. Joe, that's why I help people like Loretta. I don't want anyone being unarmed. Yep. Plus shooting is awesome, and so are firearms and freedom. Love your tales of way back when. Yeah, it's cool. I even got good stories when I was a kid. Things were so different. Even I think about it, it's not that long ago, but how much it's changed. It's crazy. Told you guys the stories of going hunting after high school and bringing your shotgun to school, and nobody thought nothing of it. Crazy. Tommy Guns, last time you brought up food, pizza cost me $120. I got to get up in a few hours for work. Have a good night. Good night, MZ. Thanks for showing up. We started the Blade of the Week. I got one for you today. So my wife's in Tennessee, so I thought this was a good one to show. I got this in Tennessee. I'm on a trip down there. And if you guys have never heard of it or want a cool place to visit, or you're in Tennessee and the kids are running you all over the place, or the wife wants to go here or there, and you just want a manly day or a manly couple hours, if you're ever near Pigeon Forge, essentially anything between Chattanooga and Knoxville, go to Sevierville, close to Pigeon Forge, and there's a place called, what is it? Something Mountain Knife Works. Smoky Mountain Knife Works. God, how did I forget that? It is the be-all, end-all for knife shopping. Anything from kitchen knives to tactical knives and everything in between. You can spend, if you even like knives, if you're into knives, you'll spend 6 hours there minimum. But you can easily spend 2 hours and not see it all. So you go in and there's essentially sections, and this section is the case store, and this section is the Gerber store, and this section is cold steel, and every brand of knife you can think of is there. And then there's imported ones. Some of them were Chinese and some are very good now. There is every color, every type, from pink to purple to black to, you've never seen so many knives in your life. Anything you want, if it's made, is there. From swords to knives to kitchen products, they were smart. The entire lower level is all kitchen products and gizmos and stuff, and mixes and cooking stuff for the wives. So they go downstairs and they buy every widget under the sun and knives that they like, and dried soup mixes and all that stuff they have for ladies. Go down so they can spend time there. Upstairs is all the knives. They do knife making classes. You can make knife making kits, and all down the center aisles throughout the store are big bins of surplus stuff. So you may find AK mag pouches, you may find canteens, you may find AK mags, they do sell ammunition now too. Anything under the sun, but knives are their thing. If you go on their website, get on their mailing list, you will get the coolest catalog of all time sent to you once a month. You will never imagine there's that many pocket knives and other knives made in the world, don't do it. You'll end up costing yourself a lot of money. I haven't bought knives in a very long time, but there was a time when my father-in-law was way into it, so we did it together, and I got all kinds of cool stuff. So this came from down there, and it happens to be a knife you don't hear much about anymore. The Schrade company. This is made by Schrade, and it's essentially kind of a survival knife, okay? So it comes in this nylon sheath, really heavy nylon, really nice. It's got a pouch here, all Velcroed, and there was nothing in the pouch at the time. You could put a sharpener in there or whatever, but I have a knife fetish, and I also have a flashlight fetish. I love flashlights, and I have as many of those as I do knives. What does this say on it? It says Great Smoky Mountains, so I must have got this there. And it's a LED. So I put that in there. It looks like there's also some of those Strike Anywhere matches I must have in here. Keeping with the theme of survival knives, it's got a leg thing. You can tie it off to your leg. It's got one of the metal belt hooks and more ties, and you can strap it sideways on your belt, up like this, up on a rig, however you want to mount it, multiple ways. The cool thing about this knife is, and I've never seen another one like it, it's powder coated or something, all like battleship gray, right? And look at this thing. So it's got the saw teeth back here and then super sharp. I love the blade design of this. And it's a good 8-inch blade, maybe more, but it's just such a nice clean lines and uh, just super cool. It's machined out of one piece of metal. So it's not a full tang. Well, I guess it's full tang, but there's no handle material. There's no separate blade. There's no separate guard. It's all one piece, completely machined out of one piece of billet steel. The grip is tubular and it's knurled really nicely and then powder coated. And you can see it's called Schrade Extreme Survival. And that's, I guess, laser cut on there. Looks gold though. But from the factory, it's got a pretty sharp, nice edge. It's a big knife overall. It's about 12 inches, I would say. Really nice. And look at the shape of it. And so solid. It's just the most solid thing because it's one piece of steel. Cool thing is the handle unscrews. And it's kind of weird. I always thought this thing should have something different in the handle. I thought it should have a survival kit, right? But instead, it's got a driver set. You put the thing in the end and there's all the tips. But I always thought it should have like a little survival set. And this comes out of there. This is the handle for it. It's machined to take a 1/4-inch hex bit. But that's your driver. I thought it would be cooler if it had, the fish hooks, the matches, the this, the that. And because if I ever got stranded somewhere, I probably couldn't do much with this. But I don't know. Just a thought. I always meant to change it, and I probably will. But it screws in. There's an O-ring, a nice big O-ring too. And it's a heavy knife because it's steel. But not too crazy. But you can't break the handle. You can't. It's just one solid piece of metal, and that's what drew me to it. I've never read a review about one. I don't know if it's a great knife, a good knife, or whatever. I just thought it was unique because I've never really. You see a lot of. I almost dropped it. You see a lot of survival knives, and they're the cheap China versions, where the handle's hollow and they're just junk and they rattle and whatever. This is not the case. This is as far from it as you could imagine. I don't know if it says the steel type on here. All it says is, and I'm sure it's their model number, SCHF-2. And that's funny. You won't believe what it says on here. I never noticed this till just now. Look, I don't know if you'll be able to see in the camera, but underneath you've got the main model number here, and then underneath there's 3 letters. Look at those letters. Can you read it? There. It says rock. What's the odds of that? Holy cow. That's hilarious. Anyhow, that's the blade of the week, guys. It's a Schrade Extreme Survival. And there's many hundreds more where this came from. So we could do a blade of the week for a long time to come. But I'm just here and there pulling the ones I always find interesting. And that's why I bought them. I buy stuff that I find interesting. So anyhow, I thought it was cool. Alan Bishop, I got 500 rounds of that stuff. Man, share the wealth. Where'd you get 5? You bought a whole case of it? I should have back in the day. Was upset at $16 a box. Yeah, right. Is that what you were paying for it? Yeah, I was buying them single boxes at a local shop, $17.95. Joe Morgan, love Rambo knives. The Harbor Freight one is really good, and it was like $10 years ago. I've looked at that Harbor Freight one a ton of times, and I just looked at it in passing. I never pulled it down. Is it quality or is it typical Chinese stuff? I don't know. Never really picked one up. The Frontiersman, hey Rock, do you have any thoughts on a PTR 91s? Yeah, what a great gun. What a great gun. And I'm just now getting into all these roller lock guns. I don't know if you heard or you just got it, but MP5 is next on the list. My wife promised me we'd work on getting that accomplished for me. So that's what we're going to do. There it is. But yeah, they're not cheap, but they're super nice. It's a great gun. Let's see. Or anyone in the chat. That's funny. Yeah, it is a cool knife. So I wanted to show you guys that. We talked about it last week, but I finally got it. I got that Mossberg 590 retrograde. And right before here, we shot an unboxing. So I will get you that out today or tomorrow as quick as we can. And then we are going to do a shotgun day at the range. What a cool gun. Cool. I'm really like it. I'll tell you, the only thing I don't like about it is I thought that all the 590s had the steel trigger guard, and it's got the nylon trigger guard. So that's upsetting a bit. But we're going to end up getting a 590A1 with the ghost ring sights and the heavy barrel and all. But this retrograde is pretty darn cool. It looks just like it came. I'm looking at it right now. I got the bayonet on it. And so it holds more brass bead front sight, which is what I wanted on the retrograde because the bead sight just looks more correct. The wood is much nicer than I thought. I love the tank safety on it. The heat shield is on there like a rock, so no rattling. Just great stuff. So really cool. I can't wait to get a video out to you guys on it. And I can't wait to shoot it. Let's see. Great to hear. I've been thinking about getting one. Yeah, those PTRs. I handled one at a local FFL, and you can count on those guns. Those guns are built well, built right. You know, if you're looking at one of theirs, like, and I'm not good with all the model numbers on them. I just don't know that much about PTRs, HAs. I'm getting there, but I'm not the guy to go to on that. I'm learning like you guys. But the one I handled there was just really nice, really well built. And I have done a little research, and the one that's looks like the MP5 pistol, I guess. Couple different things that are different than the original, but I will say I believe the PTR, if you were to get a registered trigger pack for that gun and did the tax stamp and the registry and all that, you could buy a full auto trigger pack, and it's a 2-pin lower for it. Whereas the other clones like the Zenith and all, they I have a welded in shelf in them. So yeah, they can be converted, but not like that, and not the real way. So if you ever wanted to do a full auto, purchase one on the registry, you could, and you could put it in on the PTR. So that's kind of cool, I thought. Try one out, Rock. Nothing else would be a good beater. Yeah. You know, that's the thing. You get these nice knives, and it's hard to use them. You know, you don't want to mess them up. That's cool. That Retro 590 is slick. Yeah, it is. I just wood in a shotgun screams to me. And what do you think of this? So I got the M16 bayonet on it. You know, the M6 with M7 shroud, or M7 with an M8 shroud. I think it's M7, M8. God, I just did a video. I don't remember. But I think that gun will look really, really slick with a Garand sling on it. What do you think? I don't know if I can make it work. I'm looking. It's got a stud in the stock, and it's got a sling stud in the tip of the magazine. So I guess I could make it work with a set of, yeah, I guess I can make it work. I think that'll look right, like a faded, nice Garand or M1 carbine sling. I think it'll look really slick on there. So it's cool. I can't wait to use it. It's not. I'll say this. It's fairly heavy. I like my 1301 is more flickable and all of that, but nice gun and looks so good with that dark wood. It's almost cherry with the black. It's just cool. I can't wait. Can't wait. I need to get a PTR 91 G1. Which model is that? Is that the rifle? That's the rifle, like a kind of like a semi, right? Ellen, he has a PTR. It's a good rifle. It gets dirty quick. The only roller lock I have is that Spanish semi, and I really like that gun. Another gun I got to take out and shoot. I've been looking at the G1R model in case I want to add an optic. So that must have the rail on it. PTR needs to upgrade those barrels. Why? What's wrong with them? PTR does put a rail on it, I thought. Thought they're welded on. They need 4150 chrome line. Are they chrome lined? What's everybody worry so much about chrome lined? Look at the Yugo guns. They were unlined for years and years and years. And if you take care of them, they're fine. Actually, people say unlined barrel is more accurate, but who knows? I love the M7 bayonet. Mine's in Ontario, and I use the Grand Sling on my A2. Yeah, I like the retro stuff too. Blue Loctite your flash hider. On what? On the PTR? Get an HK21 charging handle and an HK heavy buffer. For what? And an HK21 butt pad. I don't know enough about the models. I gotta go watch some videos on that stuff. I don't know a ton about it. Well, guys, we are at 2 hours. Did I cover everything we needed to cover tonight? I don't know. I hope I told you enough stories. I built it up on that family stories about World War II. I told a lot of it last week, but I added a few things in. As I can remember, I'll bring up more. I hope you liked it. It's fun to bring in other stuff that surrounds the guns, the hobby. I guess it's what makes us what and who we are, right? We're probably all a little old school, right? And we don't care to rely on government or organizations or handouts. We prefer to take care of our own and do it our way. And it's a shame to say it, but live like a generation ago. Try to do that, right? Not like we see some people today. So never fear, we make our own times, right? At the end of the day, we are what influences the times and how we live. And hopefully we have those freedoms to keep doing that. I started saying early, and I'll leave you with this, real brief. I said about the politics. What's going on in Canada is scary, guys. You're only seeing a very small part of it. They're holding a lot back. Some of the stuff that's going on up there, it's scary. He's frozen bank accounts of people who just donated money to a GoFundMe. They had a school teacher donated $50. they put those donors on the front page. They doxed them. People are calling them, threatening them. They froze the bank account of a school teacher that gave $50. Froze her accounts. The government froze anyone's account having anything to do with that whole trucker thing and any money given. They took their trucks. They canceled the insurance. They made the insurance companies cancel their insurance. They took away their livelihoods. And they did this without a vote, anything. They invoked these emergency powers, and they're continuing them. They put another week on, and some people say it's may go indefinitely. That's not a democracy, guys. Now, think what you will about Glenn Beck. He had a thing on. He played Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum. They played him speaking, saying not to worry, that they've got a lot of people that are part of their organization, Trudeau being one of them, and that the way they're getting things done now, they said, this is the head of the World Economic Forum said over half of the cabinet up there is his people. And someone tried to bring it up in Parliament, and they shut him down. They wouldn't let him talk about it. Go back, listen to the Glenn Beck show, research. He said it's buried real deep. But I heard Klaus speaking. He's saying directly that over half of them were his people. They control the entire country. Same with France and Canada. That's scary. That's full on world government, world domination. Crazy, right? Sounds like a conspiracy theory. It's not. The speech is out there. You can hear it yourself, but look it up. That's the only thing I wanted to give you, because I think that word has to get out. So do a little research, see what you can find out there, but it's there. Glenn Beck lays it all out really, really good. Contrary to popular belief, he's not full of it. Listen to his show. Very, very scary. Very scary. How many here? How many senators? How many representatives? How many are signed on with that? What do you think Trump said? He discovered and wanted to stop. This is what he discovered and wanted to stop. And many others do too. We live in a democracy. We need to keep it that way. A republic, if we can keep it, right? If we can keep it. Maybe we've lost it. I don't know. I do know it's only lost when the last man goes down. That's all I can tell you. So learn, listen, get out there and learn. Don't believe what big media tells you. When they push someone out, there's a reason they pushed them out, guys, not because they're crazy. Just remember that. Anyhow, that's all I got for you tonight, guys. Please do me a favor. Don't blow that off. Look, find out, listen to it so you know yourselves, okay? And then pass it on to someone else. It's the only way the word gets out. One last look. Watch Northern Girl Hobbies on YouTube, Rock. She's covering it. I've been helping those people. Awesome. I will check it out. Good night, everybody. Thank you all so much. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Get me your addresses, names, addresses, whatever pertinent information you think I need for that. I will get it out to you ASAP. Big thanks goes out to Mrs. Rock for getting me ammo. That's amazing. And she saved the dog last week. She's becoming a regular, right? We're going to have to, maybe we bring her out to the range one day, introduce you to Mrs. Rock. She's a good lady. Puts up with me. She has to be a good lady. Sent me a message on Facebook. Good night, all. Good night, guys. Hey, uphold the Second Amendment. Speak your mind. I tell you, that's the most important thing. Be heard. Be heard. Be the squeaky wheel or the squeaky cooler, whatever you got to be. But speak out. Make sure you are. When somebody says something that's not right, correct them. Tell them the truth. Don't worry about the consequences. They don't. You shouldn't. Anyhow, guys, that's enough. Good night. Love y'all. Thanks for everything. And as always, Rockford Ordnance out. Watch for that video coming out. The 590. It's going to be good. Just going to be a little unboxing. Then we'll get out to the range tomorrow. Good night, guys, gals.